Hello and welcome to Adventures in Venueland, an EAMC podcast. This is your all-access pass to go backstage and behind the scenes with some of the brightest minds that cross the scope of the live entertainment industry. I'm Dave Rettelberger.
And I'm Paul Hooper. We'll introduce you to some of our favorite people as we dive deep into the world of live touring shows and the venues that host them.
Our adventure today takes us to the Windy City, Chicago, where we're going to visit with Derrick Christian. He is the Senior Marketing Manager at the United Center. Derrick, how's it going?
It's going great. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here, to be asked to be a part of the podcast. So I'm loving being here right now.
Now, there's no visuals with the podcast, but you're coming to us today from a kind of an unusual location inside the United Center. Tell us where you're coming to us from.
For sure. So I'm broadcasting live from my laptop in a platform that we all know and love. We've been using for all of 2020 and 2021, but I thought it would be valuable to do it from here. So I'm in the concert club. It's the United Center Concert Club. It's a downstairs hospitality space that traditionally would be open for pre-concert and pre-game activities. And this is actually the location of our offices before we built our atrium where our new office building is. And so I am actually in view of my old cubicle in the back that is now a space where people can dine traditionally when concerts are open. So it felt very nostalgic to have that here while we talk about Adventures in Venueland. So wanted to sit in that space while we have the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, that's very much part of your adventure, right? And the part of the evolution of the venue. I think that's always super interesting. Those of us that work at a venue for a while, you always see it evolve over time, construction in certain areas. Like you say, offices turn into clubs, clubs turn into offices. It's wild.
And arenas turn into vaccination sites. That's what you guys are up to right now, right? This huge transformation in about a 7-day window. Tell me about what's happening right now at the United Center.
Yeah, so it's an incredible feat. And one of the things that I think will always come up, even I think in this conversation, is how much of a team effort a lot of these things are. It's a great working relationship that we not only have with the teams within the building, but also the building and the teams with the external community is a strong area. So it's an honor to be a part of an organization that has really evolved so much to be able to adapt to the pandemic and COVID-19 and how it's really impacted the world around us and especially the community around us. And so specifically with the mass vaccination site, the Federal Mass Vaccination Center, really, there's two locations. So there's a walk-up location that happens in one of the parking lots here that transformed into a place where people can make appointments. It's open from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Online. And so they're able to walk up, get their vaccination here on campus. And we have parking that gives them a shuttle from the actual location when they're here to make it very accessible to the community around us. And also just recently, we opened up the drive up location in the adjacent parking lot in lot C. So we have a walk-up center and a drive-up center where people are able to come get the vaccine once they made an appointment online. And it has been a truly collaborative effort with so many organizations, FEMA, the city of Chicago, a laundry list of names, but that really goes to show you how the community was able to rally around, get support happening and be able to have such a massive site outside of the United Center to be able to transform, in addition to the other kind of areas that leadership has really been rallying around to make sure that we can really serve as a vehicle for the community.
And you guys have been, doing that for quite a while over this adventure of the past, a year with, you guys were a voting super site, right? So what exactly is a voting super site?
Yes. So November 3rd, 2020 was election day. And it was an honor to be a part of that experience because the United Center served as a voting super site where we welcomed nearly 2,000 Chicago residents that showed up to register or cast their vote in the election at the United Center. So it was amazing. It was in the atrium. So the building that I referenced earlier, the atrium is around our Michael Jordan statue, which is one of the main attractions here on campus. So it was incredible to have voters that were coming in. They were passing, the Michael Jordan statue, going to the areas to cast their vote. And to see the joy and the excitement of people outside in lines, first-time voters who, got to have this experience, and they were thrilled that they could be at the United Center for the first time casting their ballot. That was one of the greatest experiences that I've seen, because just the excitement on faces, especially for concerts, is something that I think that we all live for, and is a personal thing for me. But on election day, to have that kind of impact and to rally the community in that way was one of the best things that I think that I've seen here so far.
Yeah, and what a positive impact to have on the community to offer that service. And then, like you said, you're kind of emotionally connecting with them by having, the MJ statue, and having these people that, grew up in Chicago and probably have all these great memories at the United Center. And now they get to come and cast their vote there. So I'm sure it was really something special.
Yeah. And again, I just love it because of the collaborative feel of things, because, we're talking about that was in, November, and things picked up really with COVID in March. And so thinking about like the evolution over time, in March, the United Center arena floor, there's a photo that was floating around that was shared, but we served as a storage facility on the arena floor where there were nearly 26,000 boxes on the floor there. And then there was a PPE drive that happened. And then, the voting super site, it's great to be a part of teams. And again, that is hands down that are the event operations teams and leadership, and so many names that, how long is this podcast? We could be talking forever if just listening to names of everyone involved. Right. But, just to see that genuine determination to be there for the community in ways that are possible is great to be a part of and to see happen.
So exciting to, stretch those learning muscles, right? Whether it's votings or vaccines, these are all things that are new to us, right? So, in a place where people are used to coming and seeing concerts, and now they're having something which is having a really profound impact on their life. And I think it's important for people to kind of see the venues in that new light. It's been great to not only been great being able to provide stuff for the community, but I think the community will value the venues and kind of the ways that they were able to evolve and step up through this process over the past year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed. And to your point, even just about the story of it, in Paul, I know you mentioned earlier about the venues, especially a venue like the United Center, which opened in 1994. We've been a part of the story, a part of the history, a part of the community, and we've evolved with people just like people have grown up and had their different moments. So how many people have a connection to the United Center, and it is a part of the community. So being interacting and building on these moments together is a part of the connection, and it's just engaging with the venue in the exact same ways they were, but just with new opportunities as we continue to adapt, shift, and evolve.
Derrick, you mentioned, so now is it 94? So we're 26 years or so, 27 years, if I'm good at my math.
Yes, carry the two. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So you guys, obviously United Center, but you used the word campus to refer to things that are maybe outside. For those folks who've never been to Chicago to visit United Center, tell us a little bit about what's going on there, where you guys are located in Chicago, your tenants, that kind of stuff.
For sure. Yeah. So the United Center, we are a home of the Chicago Bulls and the Chicago Blackhawks. We are located in the west side of Chicago, and it is on 1901 West Madison Street. It is an incredible place that started as one venue in 1994. And it has grown into an arena campus. So not only do we have the United Center building, but on the side of it is the atrium. So people know the Michael Jordan statue, which was unveiled in 1994 as well, was originally outside. It's in the exact same spot that it was outside, but we have built an atrium around it, which includes a 10,000 square foot retail space, a studio for one of the local partners, our box office, which is incredible and revamped and has a concierge style setup. And then there it has the office building connected to it, which is where on all the levels where all the teams sit. So it's great because we're all here. Well, in traditional times, we're all here in the building around there. And we have the Advocate Center, which is the practice facility for the Chicago Bulls. And we also have the Fifth Third Bank Arena, which is the practice facility for the Chicago Blackhawks. So we consider the United Center, the Atrium, the Madhouse Team Store, which is the official retail store, the Advocate Center practice facility for the Bulls, and the Fifth Third Bank Arena practice facility for the Chicago Blackhawks as a part of our campus that's just expanding and growing.
Yeah, geez, that's a lot.
Where are you guys at right now? Are you at a 10% capacity? Are you allowing fans in? You got obviously with hockey, some cities like here in Columbus, where we're up to 25%. But with the NBA, NHL, special events, where is the United Center as of today?
Sure. So as of today, we are still operating with no fans in the building. And so that is, we're kind of just being adaptive to what is going on in the community around us. So for us right now, it is the focus on the games that are happening internally. So we have been having games in the arena since December of 2020. So we're just continuing on that path and just seeing where that takes us, knowing that we're paying attention, and the health and the safety of all involved is the number one thing that we're focusing on. So none at this point, but we're all hopeful for the day when we're able to hear the cheers of fans in the building.
Derrick, walk me through the past year then for you, because, as a senior marketing manager, I know that, you're in charge a lot of the social media and that kind of fun stuff that represents the arena and the campus outwardly. So what are you doing, and how are you kind of, working to get through this period between, I guess where the pandemic started and kind of as we launch back into getting fans ready?
Yeah. So again, that's a great question. And honestly, on our side, we have really been adapting to the year that happened in 2020 that we're all aware of. And I mean, for us on the marketing side, I'm sure people know, but there's the team. So you have the Chicago Bulls, you have the Chicago Blackhawks, and then United Center. United Center is concerts and family shows. And so we're an entity within ourselves, but we collectively make up the United Center joint venture, which is an umbrella for all three organizations. So we all have things that we're working on specifically. And on the United Center side, it really has been the COVID-19 adaptations and responses. So I mentioned earlier that we partnered with the Greater Chicago Food Depository, where we had nearly 26,000 boxes of food, more than 774,000 pounds of non-perishable items that were collected over 2 months or so to be able to assist with the community in that way, and the PPE donations. So a lot of it on the marketing side is helping with the coordination of that, the communication of that, and wearing many different hats to make sure that we're connecting with different teams to help people when they get here about what that looks like, and the planning for these elements. So we've really pretty much had something major in the community that we've been doing over the course of all of those months. So that has really been the pulse of everything. So, and again, back to Election Day and the mass vaccination center that's happening. So for us, it's been partially prep work to get those things to happen, and working on communication, and also being able to assess, do planning to figure out, how we get from there to here, or from here to there rather, and welcoming, fans back, hopefully in the future. That's been what we've been really dealing with. So it's been a lot of decks, a lot of ideation, a lot of conversation, and really just being able to manage the things, because we're all dealing with the shifting and changing field with the concerts and events and beyond.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the things that I really notice when I check out United Center's social media is, you talk about community, but I see that you really embrace it on a number of, whether it's International Women's Day or, the National Memorial Service, or even the, We Are United Against Racism. I see, the venue embracing that, as I know some venues are not sure where to do that. So talk to me about your personal philosophy, kind of behind supporting these causes that are, important to your community, as well as, the arena's, philosophy.
For sure. It is something that is near and dear to me. I am, I think that, we've had conversations around bringing yourself to work and your full self to work, and what does that look like? And for me, that's always been a piece of it. It's to look around at what's there and to fill in what's missing. And for social media, especially for the United Center social media, it's really telling the story. And that's what we want to do as a marketing team, is to be able to tell the story and share the vision. The great thing about the United Center specifically, and a lot of venues, you have people who have been here for a long time, and then there are people who are just getting here. And that dynamic of perspective is helpful. And I think that when you've seen people who have been here for a long time, the stories are there. And it's important for us to share the message and reflect of who we are. And so the International Women's Day post actually came from inside our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee, which we said, how do we want to support? How do we want to, show up? And so that's just one of the public facing things that we did, in addition to, internal celebration of women in the workplace event that we're doing, which is a virtual celebration, which built on a becoming celebration of women in the workplace event that we built around the Michelle Obama book tour Becoming that happened here. So that's an evolution of what that is before. So for us, it's really, what are we doing first, and making sure that we are doing the work. And then it is engaging with the community as far as on social media to be able to share those things, because it starts from within, and to be able to reflect that in the community is what we want to help connect, because we're all connected in a way. And that's just another way for us to do it.
Yeah. I mean, like you said too, I think it's so critical that people practice what they preach, right? So it's really easy for you to put out a social post saying you should do this, or we believe in that. But then if you're not doing that internally, so I mean, I think it really speaks to the core values of your all's company, that you are doing these internal appreciations and recognitions for people internally. And then you're also pushing that out using the platform of the, venue accounts to sort of elevate and broadcast that. But, ultimately at the end of the day, I think some of those things are empty. I think that's what we're all seeing. And maybe it's even created some of the confusion with some of these venues is, if you put out a statement and you're not actually doing it yourself, what kind of statement are you really saying? Are you just doing it for the PR move, or do you actually care about it? So I think it's wonderful that it seems like, you all really, if anything, took it to heart internally before externally, which is great.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the case. Is I think that we all are seeing what's happening in the world. Some of us are waking up to it for the first time. Some of us have seen it all along. Some of us have personally experienced it all along. And really, when it comes to how people are engaging, it's definitely about engaging in the first place, but not everything is a public display, but we have to be able to look into things and say, where we are. And I think that's on a personal level to say, even where am I at with this conversation? Like I said, with the diversity, equity, inclusion, one of the trainings that we recently went through, it's really, one of the benefits is really just asking ourselves the questions, because something for me that, I've seen my whole entire life are microaggressions, but that was a word that came up to somebody else for the first time because that wasn't their experience. And I think that what the world is really seeing is that just because we all share a common space doesn't mean that we share a common reality. That was one of the quotes that I really loved about the training that we collectively went through, is because that's true. And I think we're in the awareness about the fact that our common space isn't the common reality that we're having. It's important for us as individuals, as well as organizations, to ask, well, now that we're aware about that, what are we going to do about that? And to have those next steps. And ideally, that's an internal conversation that is happening and work is being done there. And then just the ripple effect of what people see on the outside, it really comes from that within. And so it's just one of those times for, all companies and all people to really look inside and to take that understanding with them on the outside.
Last summer, with everything that happened, and kind of the increasing awareness of some of the racial issues in this country, I loved the way that the United Center embraced, with a big sign outside the arena that said, we are united against racism. So when you're having those discussions, I think there's so many folks at venues who don't even know how to begin those discussions of how we're going to tackle this as a company. Tell me how you guys came up with that campaign and kind of how you were able to support it.
Sure. It's levels of work. And so
right.
I think really for us, and again, just mentioning back to the fact that there's the Chicago Bulls, Chicago Blackhawks, and the United Center, and we're all under this umbrella of UCJV, and we all have our internal things that we really champion and look at in initiatives, but a lot of them are interlinked because, again, it's one of the blessings of, working here is that we do engage really well across the board, as a team, so that's good. So the teams have their own activation points about really being involved too. And so on the United Center side, when we were witnessing what was going on in the world collectively, and we had a town hall meeting where people were sharing their voices and their perspectives and really just weighing on us in that way, we knew automatically that we wanted to insert our voice there. And that wasn't the first time that the United Center has used our outdoor digital signage to be able to support causes and initiatives. And again, that's something that we tracked to before. So that understanding of we are united against racism, that's a feeling internally. So when that understanding is there, then it's easy to put something together to reinforce that. I think for some companies, when maybe that sentiment isn't as, it doesn't come as top of mind, or like the conversation hasn't happened there may be some struggles to work through that. But for us, it was really an email chain. It was an email conversation to say, this is what we think, and this is what we think we should do. And a couple emails back and forth, and we put that signage out there. We are united against racism. And that was an easy decision because that is something that is at the heart of the organizations and something that we wanted to display, because being a part of the community, especially where we are, it's important that we share that and that we reflect what's going on. The concerts that happen in the building, the events that happen in the building, the people that come through the building, they are part of the community that we are part of. And so that was as quickly as an email, and leadership gets it. And so that's what made it an easier thing for us to do, because it's just a core value that we believe in.
That's great. I appreciate you sharing that with us. That's awesome. I wish it was that united, haha, no pun intended, and easy to do. Or, it's not that it's easy to do, but that it's, easy to get that consensus, especially when you've got groups as well respected in the world as, the United Center and the Blackhawks and the Bulls all coming together. So that's a wonderful thing. When we talk about community, let's talk about when you are a part of the community at the University of Missouri-Columbia, right? So we're taking you back to college. Did you know what you wanted to do that first day of college? Did you know that, hey, I wanted to get into the arena business and this is what I want to do? Or kind of, how did your adventure start?
The adventure in Derrick Christian land. I like what we're doing with this. I did not know where the road would end me, but I think that when you're just driven by what you're passionate about, you're going to end up somewhere that aligns with you on some level. So I think that when your heart is your compass, your focus is your compass, then you're going to end up somewhere great. So at the University of Missouri, Mizzou, MIZ for anyone who's listening, I knew that I wanted to tell stories and share stories. So I was a journalism major, started out in broadcast journalism, graduated with a degree in strategic communications, which is advertising and public relations, because my passion was telling stories. And that's partially through social media. And what I love about it, because at the heart of it, social media is telling stories. It's people telling their own stories. It's them sharing their minds. It is that feeling. And I love that. And so when I graduated, I ended up working in media planning, which I don't know, are you all, of course you're all familiar with media planning. We're in this, but for anyone who's not aware about media planning is when you see a television commercial, that you see it on this channel, but there's a company in between there that decided this is the target audience for that company to put their commercial on because it would get the greatest reaction in front of them. So I worked for the middle person company working for the National McDonald's account, which was great because it really taught me like the number one mentality, because McDonald's is the biggest in the industry, especially at the time that I worked there. So, when you're number one, you are changing the game. But when you're number 2, 3, 4, or 5, you're trying to be number one. So your mentality is different. So that really taught me just to think as a number one type of person to go in any situation, even if, we're not that, how to have that perspective. So I appreciated that. But I stayed there for a while. But when the opportunity opened up for working at the United Center in the marketing area, it was my sweet spot because I'm a big entertainment and music fan. So, it's not basketball, it's not hockey, but it engages with both of those, but it's concerts and family shows. And that sweet spot and that evolution and that elevation is what I love about it. And working in the event industry, as far as like the building side of things, is great because it's just enough structure to be something that is working, but there is enough opportunity area that you can bring about ideas and ask why not and say these things. And it's not so regulated in a sense that still allows that creativity to be out there. So getting here and asking why not while being around some of the best in the industry was a great thing. And I love the evolution of that. So my path I didn't know like immediately I wanted to do this because I'm born and raised in St. Louis. And so living in Chicago for the past 10 years is the adjustment. So I didn't necessarily have that specific United Center connection, but being here has taken it to new heights and I love it.
So, you've been there, I think, a little over 7 years now, right?
Yeah.
What was it that helped you get your foot in the door? What do you think it was the reason that they chose you, Derrick Christian, for this job? For that person who's maybe thinking about getting into this industry and wondering, hey, what do I need to do to be considered?
For sure. Well, for me, I look at it as if you do it for yourself, then you'll do it for me. So like, would you trust a barber with a bad haircut? Would you trust a car salesperson with a bad car? Would you trust someone as a stylist if they are not dressed properly and you don't see that sense? So for me, I think that we have to reflect what we say that we are willing to do for someone. So for me, a part of, marketing was social media. So by that time I had managed the social media for the fraternity that I was in on a national level. And that included creating videos and content for that I could point them to what website links for. I had perspective, already looked at the social media sites for the organization. And when they asked me the question about like, hey, what would you change? I had my answers because I had my perspective. And also I created some things for myself where on my own social media profiles, my own LinkedIn profiles, you could see the aesthetic and what I wanted to put forth. And so you have to represent what it is to make people a believer, because if you do it for yourself, I know that you'll do it for me. But if you're not doing it for yourself, then what are you really telling me? So closing that distance was what I think helped me out, because when I showed up, I said, this is what I would love to do. This is how I would love to be a part of it. And, did my research and showed that the passion is what was going to get me there, because I think that skills can be taught, but passion can't. So what you're doing in your life up to a certain point, whether you decided to or not, it is a result of your interest and your passion. And I think that really shines through more than anything. And I would like to think that is what brought me onto the team, is the passion and the history of showing what I was capable of. And being innovative, if I can't say that too. And I feel it feels kind of like wrong to be talking about myself like this, but if I value anything as a core value, it is innovation. And if I can't say anything in the time here, it has been what I'm proud of is the innovation in things. And so I know artist gifts and stuff like that is a thing. And when I first got here, we didn't necessarily do that, but I didn't want to be about artist gifts. I wanted to be about artist experiences.
Just a couple of examples, because I know you guys do some cool stuff.
Well, since you asked, if we have time for it, I don't want to bore anyone, but I probably have like a top 10 list. But if I have to say, and the caveat here is that I've always, and myself and my colleague Colleen, who we've been here for the long haul, and now we have Jack here together, it's always been the perspective to use events that are happening to connect to the community within the building. So we did the Astro World Art Gallery. So when Travis Scott was here, we got local artists to paint Travis Scott paintings, and we hung it up on the wall backstage. And there were Travis Scott paintings, and we had we partnered with Live Nation to have this cool lighting back there, and we printed out this cartoon style map that we handed out fans about where to go around the United Center with cotton candy and all of that there. But, Travis Scott loved the art, and we actually ended up sending it to him. So that was great. We did the J-Lo 360 Glam Cam, one of my favorites. We had this red carpet that led from her dressing room to this 360 camera where you stood up there, and we had these De Niro money guns. The De Niro is one of her songs. And basically you would shoot the money guns around, and all the dancers loved it, and they were like, this is amazing. They were, sending her messages beforehand and saying like, you have to be a part of this. And so she came in and she immediately went up there and was shooting the money guns, and they loved it so much.
That's great.
That's so great. We had fake money before, but then they gave us some of the J-Lo money from their tour to put in there. But the bigger impact things, like when Michelle Obama came here for a celebration of becoming, we had a celebration of women in the workplace event featuring a panel in our atrium with the Bulls, the Blackhawks, the United Center, Chicago White Sox, and Live Nation, where we had a woman from each of those areas having a conversation about that. And we surprised everyone on their staff, because we invited staff for that. And we surprised them with books of becoming. And we got a letter from Mrs. Obama's elementary school and all of her schools. We put it on this big wall, and we put it backstage, and she saw that and loved it and kept it with her. And we invited people in the community, women in the community, women organizations, and their mentees to come in to be a part of that experience and watch the event together. So for us,
That's awesome.
It's multi-leveled ways to get people in the community here to really have that experience. And that's what I love about it. We get to be creative, and that kind of innovation really not only makes a memorable experience for the artists when they get here, but for the community to be able to engage in it and to connect with it on a deeper level.
And to gush on Chicago for a little bit, obviously you said you're born and raised in St. Louis, but I mean, Chicago is one of my favorite cities in the US. And it's just, I don't know what it is. I think it's like, it's not as overwhelming as New York, but it's right on the lake and it's super diverse, and it's just really, I don't know. I just have always loved that city so much and have so many great memories there just from going with friends. That was where I went to my first EAMC, which was in 2010. And The Blackhawks won that year, which you may have heard this story, but it was our 30th anniversary for the conference. And then we were like watching the Blackhawk games home and away in the different like bars that night. And then they won, and like the streets were just crazy. People, honking their horns till 5 a.m. It was wild. I just love that city. So what a great city to land in and be working, in this industry, which you could be in any city. But I mean, Chicago, what's the Sinatra thing? What a toddling town.
Yeah, such a storied city and such a storied history at the venue. That's why it's definitely, an honor to be working here. And again, not only that, but just with the people who have seen it on this level, who have seen it grow, who have been here part of those moments. I mean, 6 championships on both sides for the teams. And, you're talking about people who have seen it from start to finish. So it's an honor to be surrounded by so many great people, and it just continuously grow. I love it.
Derrick, a few minutes ago, you mentioned you wouldn't hire a stylist who didn't have style of their own. So Paul and I today are definitely not people you would hire as stylists, but obviously you put some care in your presentation. Do I hear that you've got like your own like suit and tie line? Is there some kind of fashion thing you're doing?
Yes. The Mr. Suitable.
Yeah, tell me about Mr. Suitable.
Yes, perfect. So Mr. Suitable is a motivational men's accessories line of ties, tie bars, socks, and more. There are over 100 pieces in the collection. And what really sets it apart is that it is motivational. So all the ties have a specific tie name associated with it, because when you're getting dressed up, it's not just about getting dressed up, it's about who you're getting dressed up to be. So, when you're wearing a tie that's named the Fire Starter, you're going into that interview that you just talked about, Dave, about, representing yourself and sharing what makes you. If you're wearing a tie like the Fire Starter, knowing that you're going in to light up the room and ignite your inner personality, then you feel even more empowered and you're part of those moments. And so everything is $18 and under to be, affordable to a lot of different people. And I love it because, again, it's the message about empowerment, and, the steps forward are necessary steps. So it just encourages everyone to do it in style. So I love being a part of that. And even back to Mizzou scenario, I created a list of Black-owned businesses that are owned by alumni of the University of Missouri and shared that list because, again, I'm all about empowerment just in general. And there are over 100 businesses on that list that people can see. And just that visibility is what I love. And so whether it's in, using marketing as a tool to be able to craft that message or doing it internally in my life, that's the passion that drives me because I'm always about inclusion and visibility and motivation and empowerment. And if I can do it through style, hey, that's a bonus. So that's Mr. Suitable.
I mean, Derrick is the most stylish guy at the conference. We'll like show up at like a Sunday brunch and, half of us are, wearing dirty clothes, hung over. Derrick shows up. He's got the slickest suit I've ever seen on. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy, he's showing up. He's showing out. It's awesome. I mean, it's amazing.
But thank you, Paul. I appreciate that. It's just, it's just a representation of self. And, they say, bring your full self to work. So, I just try to bring that along with me,
Yeah.
One of the other things that I have heard about you is that you do spoken word poetry. Am I right about this?
Yes.
Tell us a little about your interest here.
So I love words. And so even back to music, I was the kid who would have CDs and would read the booklet for the song lyrics. I love song lyrics. I love all genres of music, but I especially respect country music because of the emphasis on lyrics that it has. So for me, the lyric is the first thing that catches my eye. So I've always had a relationship with words. I wrote poetry when I was younger and just did it, privately. But then one day I just decided that I wanted to, share it with people because ultimately, when it's all said and done, we have what we leave behind in the world. And, if I love to write, and my story was told, and I have the ability to tell my story through words, like journalism is, then sharing that in a way is that. So again, motivation, the stories I like to tell, the things I like to write are about motivating us to be the highest version of ourselves. And they're reminders to myself first, but I love it if people are able to get something from it too, because, I'm passionate about reminding us of our greatness because we're all here for a reason. And I love the idea of being able to personally do that.
So where do you perform? Is this something where there's like a poetry club?
Yeah, so in Chicago, there are a bunch of different places and outlets that happens. One of my favorite is Soul Sessions, which is run by good friends of mine, Ron and Erica, and they have it monthly. And so before the pandemic hit, I was actually having a residency there where I would perform there once a month. So I would unveil a new spoken word piece every single month and, to try to do that. So that went away. But yeah, I have a video online, spoken word poetry short film called Common Sense that is out there. And I'll just, continuously share more from there just to get that creativity out.
If you don't mind sharing, I would love to hear a little bit of what you do.
Sure. So I'll share a piece. It is called Mediocre. It'll just be a snippet of that. Yeah. And it goes like this. When the world remembers me, they will not remember me for being the M-E in mediocre. For being an unqualified ego stroker, just a joker playing the card like I'm the greatest of all time, but dealing crooked lies with a straight face like it's poker. See, I don't play those games. I was told to shoot for the moon so that even if you miss, then you will still land amongst the stars. And for me, I'm aiming for Pluto. So at least my misses will leave a legacy like Mars in this galaxy. The three musketeers of me, myself, and I will soar like a dove and chew through the Milky Way like candy bars. So if we're hungry, then why wait and let their Snickers keep us from the kudos that are so rightfully ours? I was not born into this world to live a life full of regrets. And for me, that would be living a life full of being as good as it gets, some greater than good. And being greater than good is greater than the radius of any neighborhood because I understood that state lines cannot dictate the kinds of people who escape the binds of mediocrity gates and break free to shine. It's really the state of mind that dictates the kinds of people who escape the binds and mediocrity gates and break free to shine. So break free, because we should all want to be free. But sadly, some people will only be happy with being the M-E in mediocre, but I promised myself that would never, ever be me.
Wow. Amazing.
Whoa. I
so good.
now have a new high watermark for my favorite moment of doing this podcast.
No, you all are too kind. I appreciate that, and I can only ever hope that anything that I ever say inspires, the greatness in other people. So I appreciate you all for even taking note of that and giving the space to share a little something there.
Absolutely.
I appreciate everything you shared with us today. And before we let you go, we like to do a little thing called the Fast Five, where we ask you just 5 quick questions to get your quick response to these. So we'll start things off. Your first concert.
First concert, Pink.
Your favorite concert.
Ooh.
It's always the tough one.
Ever or at the United Center? I'll go ever. Ever is On the Run tour to Beyonce, Jay-Z. Best concert I've ever seen in my life. Favorite concert here, Jennifer Lopez, It's My Party tour.
Nicest artist you've ever met.
The nicest artist would be Thomas Rhett. He was excited about being at the United Center. We staged an announcement for him, and he was just so grateful and kept saying thank you to everyone there. Nicest artist.
Your favorite venue that you haven't worked at?
Cool. Scotiabank Arena.
Last question for you. You get your own TV show, right? Where they follow around the adventures of Derrick Christian, right? And what is the theme song for this TV show? What is the song that plays over the opening credits to the TV show about all about you?
Whoa. It's a great question. I think it would have to be an original song that I create. I think I would have to write it myself to truly be able to reflect everything. So is that cheating?
No, I like it. I think you're an innovator all the way. So I love that.
I feel like of anyone that could pull that off, it would be you too. You'd be, writing some awesome song.
I feel like I could do a great parody version of Sister Christian with Derrick Christian. So I feel like I could.
I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you are willing to.
We don't want to lose all our venues. So on that note, we're going to wrap things up here. Derrick, what do you want to plug? Feel free if somebody wants to, reach out to you or follow United Center or even Mr. Suitable. Give us your plugs.
Oh, sure. So of course, if you want to follow me specifically, in this avenue, LinkedIn is a great place to connect. Derrick Christian, DerrickChristian. And of course, personally, if you wanted to follow Mr. Suitable, that's MrSuitable.com. So MisterSuitable.com, or, Mr. Suitable on social media. And of course, back to the venue space where we all started following the United Center on all platforms. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, Pinterest.
You doing the TikTok yet?
Not doing TikTok. Not doing TikTok. Hands are fully loaded, but the teams are doing some great work there. So we're living vicariously through them.
I'm with you on that one. Hey, Derrick, thank you so much for the time today. And I can't wait for you all to show us up by looking good at the next conference.
I can't wait till we're all together at the next conference. I know slowly but surely we're working there, but it's an honor to be a part of this. Thank you all for keeping people connected in the adventures, and hopefully the stop in Chicago was a good one.
Amen. We're definitely. And thanks to everybody for listening to Adventures in Venueland. Remember, you can subscribe and find more episodes wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. We'd love your 5-star reviews so you can help others find us. And until the next adventure, I'm Dave Rettelberger.
And I'm Paul Hooper. Thanks for listening, everyone.